This is what perpetrators are really thinking. Like, doesn't matter if you're with them, whether you're in a relationship with a perpetrator, whether you've left a relationship with a perpetrator, I can guarantee this is what they're thinking. So it's three things. It always comes down to these three things. So number one, let's jump straight into it. The first thing is the perpetrator is thinking, how can I get her? So hypothetically, the perpetrator is the male, the victim is the female, just for scenario. So they're thinking, how can I get her to do something or her to not do something? That's number one. So what does that look like? So the perpetrator might be thinking, I don't want her to go out. Now, these guys are clever. These perpetrators are, he or she, they are so freaking clever. They're not just like, yo, you can't go out. They don't do that. They do not do that. They are way, way smarter than that, right? This is why we don't see their bullshit. Like, I've been there too. I've gone through all of that stuff, all the different forms of abuse. Like, this is why we don't see it, even though we're intelligent people. So what they do is they're thinking, I don't want her to do this, or I want her to do this, but let's say for argument's sake, they don't want you to go out, right? They will create some freaking drama. They will create all this shit. They will create all this stuff in the background, right? And then they'll go basically into tension building phase. They'll start creating all this tension, and then you will then either feel so guilty that you won't want to go out, or they'll explode and create all this drama, and then you're going to feel like shit, and you've basically had your emotions manipulated, and then you're not going to actually want to go out or do the thing that you wanted to do in the first place. Does that make sense? So number one, they are thinking, how can I not get her, or how can I get her to do something? Number two is the perpetrator themselves are thinking, how can I do this, or how can I not do this? And it's literally that simple. So for example, it could be you've asked them to do a chore around the house, like you've asked them to go food shopping, to do the grocery shop, you've asked them to do the vacuuming, you've asked them to do something like wash the pots, right? And they are thinking, I am way too entitled to do any of this shit, so I ain't doing it. That's what they're thinking. So they're thinking, how can I get out of this? Because I don't want to do it. So they're trying to protect themselves from doing something and creating some kind of drama, bring up some past, use your past against you, and then pin everything onto you. So you then like feel, oh my god, I'm at fault, I did something wrong here, like it's fine, I'm not going to ask him to do that because there's too much tension built up now and he's about to blow and I don't want him to blow. Or it could be that he's already blowed, he's already had his explosion, right? And you're just like, okay, well, that's not happening anymore, or he's not going to do this anymore because you're dealing with the shock and all the drama and the abuse and everything that's just happened in that moment, instead of him doing the washing up. Does that make sense? So that's the first. And the second, the third thing that these perpetrators are thinking is, how can I make sure she doesn't know what's happening? So how can I ensure she doesn't realize what I'm doing here in terms of games, mind games, psychological, emotional manipulation, right? Well, it's really easy. These guys, girls, perpetrators out there are so damn good at this. They deserve like PhDs, like doctorates in this kind of shit, because they will never ever say they don't want you to do this. They will never ever say they want you to do something, and they will never say that they don't want to do something themselves, right? This is the main issue with perpetrators, is their lack of their inability to communicate and resolve conflicts. So they will manipulate the fuck out of you instead to basically get you to do what they want. So their next question is, and what they're thinking is, how can I make sure she doesn't see what I'm doing and cover my tracks? And so they will meticulously